Okay, so for topic 5, we're going to work with the first page or the first screen for the application, which is a splash screen. And I'm going to change the names, either sometimes page, sometimes screen. But I think screen is a much better terms for the application. Okay, so maybe I'm going to change everything to screen. Page will always referring to web. You have web page. You don't call it web screen. Okay, you don't call it web screen. You call it web page. But for mobile application, you have a screen. It is a very small screen, quite small screen, and then you can call it a screen. So there's a I'm going to change that later in terms of the terms. And for the screen, usually we use this for branding. Okay, so we use the screen for branding, and it only appeared within 2 or 3 seconds. And the importance of a splash screen is that it basically provide the branding for user to remember. Okay, so whenever they see the page, they know that this is the application, and this is the company, and this is the application, what the application do. Okay, so it basically allow for you to reinforce your user with your personal branding, and branding is very, very important. Okay, because sometimes, for example, like Burger King or Burger, whatever burger, or even KFC, like very known branding. Okay, you can buy chicken, fried chicken, like a roadside fried chicken, but you don't remember them well. But for KFC, you will always remember KFC fried chicken, okay, because of the branding. You don't remember Pak Mat chicken or whoever is selling chicken at the road stall, but you will always remember KFC. So that's why branding is very important. They protected branding and they create that brand, even though sometimes that brand not that or even like for example for foods industry, they're not very good at all, but they create the hype, they create the thinking of the people, and when they have the branding strong enough, the brand itself can sell. So that's why you have KFC, McDonald's, and whatnot, right? So that's why branding is very important for big company. They protect their brand very, very well, right? So splash screen provide you with branding, and sometimes splash screen also implement background services to check for example, automatic login. Okay, auto login. So auto login allow user to cut short in term of login process. They don't have to remember their preference. They log in once, and then after that, your screen or your application automatically log in to the application or to the main page without having to log in. Okay, to go to the login process. And also you can check for version for upgrade. Okay, you can check also for the server ability. Sometimes you have like pretty bad internet connection. So your server can do the checking first. The application can check for the internet connection and then stop from the application from running, because without the internet, the application cannot run. So this is where also you can implement that kind of features. Okay, but for now we start with a simple one, with a simple splash screen or splash design. Here we have a very simple design, but with the image or full screen implementation of image at the background. And then there's a 3 or 4 widgets here. My password text, circular progress, and at the bottom you have another text to indicate the current version. Okay, so you always start with sketch. Okay, you just sketch first and then you plan ahead for your design. Okay, so then once you have your design, and then you can move on to the development. Okay, so once you have the idea, you can start with the development. And for this, so the main dot here, this is the entry point for the application. And since this is an entry point, so I'm going to leave the main dot. But here, as you can see, I do have this class here, which is the my homepage class. So I'm going to take the class, all the class section for the my homepage, and then I'm going to create another file. And usually, yes, you can combine multiple classes into one file. But then later on, you're going to find out that it is going to be very hard for you to manage your codes. It's all about code management. Okay, so usually when you have multiple pages application, you want to separate them into views. Okay, so for example, for splash screen, so I'm going to create new class in this view folder. Okay, so you can see there's a view folder inside there. So this view folder, I'm going to create new file called, you can give it a name like splash screen dot. Okay, so I'm going to give it a name, splash screen dot. So now you can see there's a new file inside here called splash screen dot. All right, so once we have that file, so what we need now here is to create the widget or the splash screen. So now here we can just remove this class, or we can just move the class to the second page. So I'm going to delete that. So you don't have to worry about this getting the error here, because here we're going to create that particular screen. Okay, so STF, which is for the stateful widget. And then here the names for the widget is splash screen, because I already, you can start with stateful, we can start with min app also, and use the first one. Okay, because this one comes with all this, but you want to remove main, and then you want to convert this to a stateful widget, and you can start from here. But the name of the class here, sometimes you need to change, because this one is my app. So the class that you want to implement is the name. Okay, this is just the name, splash screen. And you need to change the other, this one, because I forgot to change all the classes. State. This one also the same. This one also the same. And then you have written the home's already there, but we need to return scaffold only. Right. So we return scaffold. And already have it down there. All right, there you go. Okay, so this now become a class. Okay, this is a stateful class that handles splash screen and also allow you to call this class from here. So if you call this class here, the splash screen class here, from main dot, and definitely you need to import that into your application. So that's how you do it. Okay, so this is basically the same with the one that I have it here. Before the class is all here, I just take that class, put it into another file. That's it. Okay, so if let's see if I delete this first again, one more time. Let me show you. So let me go back to the previous one. So if I take this class, this my home page class, but I need to rename. Okay, you need to rename the name so that it is easier for you to identify. Definitely you can use the name my home page. Okay, there's no issue with that. But the reason that we create different class name is that it is easier for us to manage for the developer. Okay, so for the developer, like for example, I give the name splash screen or splash page. So I know that this class handle for splash page. You can provide any names. Okay, you can provide any names, but later on you might find it like very hard for you to see or to look for the code that handle for that particular screen. So that's why we remove this class, and definitely you can put this in here, but change the name and also the required import that is missing, which is the material. Put it up there. Okay. And then change the name. Instead of my homepage, here I use the splash screen, but you need to change the names, all the constructor here, the state down here, quite a lot of names that you need to change. And this is also state there. And this one will return container, but since we don't have yet the scaffold here, so we need to return scaffold. So here we return, instead of container, we return scaffold. And then here, instead of my home page, we just call splash screen. And you call the class here, you need to import the class into the main dot dot or the main class dot dot. So now it's ready to accept your splash page. So this is another method. The other way that you can do is by using the stateful. Okay, so you can use the stateful this, and don't forget to give the name splash screen and import the required. Here you need to import, which is material, also the same. So there are three ways of doing this. The easiest way by using the STF, the stateful, enter, provide the class name, which is splash screen, because this one will automatically do for you, and then import your material and change this to scaffold, because we don't have scaffold yet. And that's it. Okay, and call the class from here, splash screen, which is, we'll call this class and import that class up here. And you can give it a try and run the application. So the reason why we return scaffold, if you return container, then you get like black screen. Okay, so you need to return scaffold so that you get your initial page layout like this. This one is just a container, so that's why you can see there's a black background there, because it's only a container. You don't put scaffold there. So since here we can see from the main class here, we don't have scaffold, and this class implements stateless widget. And it is very important for the main class to implement stateless widget. The consecutive classes, if the UI you require to update or to refresh, you can use the stateful widget. But for the main widget, it always start with the stateless widget. And then for the other widget that you want to refresh, like splash screen here, then you can implement that as a stateful widget. Okay, so this one just another class, but implement or extend stateful widget. And the widget build here, it will return scaffold, even though inside here contain nothing just yet, because we don't have some other element there, but it should allow you to have an empty screen like this. There. Okay, so you got yourself a scaffold, an empty page. So usually for a splash screen, call it screen, right? For a splash screen, we run this as a full screen. Okay, we run this as a full screen interface. And for example, if you want to include like three tags there, you can see that we have three widgets there. 1, 2, 3. So we can just use a container. We can just use a container inside here. So scaffold, we require app bar. So we don't need for app bar. We want full screen. We need a body, definitely. So for a body, we can define column. And inside column, we can have children's. And inside children, we can have the three tags. So let's say the three tags, we have title. So the first one is text widget with text my pasar. And the second one is what we call a circular widget, circular progress indicator. And the third one is another text for version. So let's say we start with version 0.1 beta. So we have three widgets here. Save. And then you should be able to see the three widgets there, up there. Okay, so you have three widgets there. So you have circular and then you have text up there also. Because we don't have app bar, so it push everything upwards. You can see that my pasar up there, quite small. So this is basically the text, all the widgets that we want. So now you can start with center. So you can move everything to center, wrap recenter. So now everything to the center, and then you can start with your columns with the, is it main axis? Main axis alignment, let's say space around. Okay, so space around, something like that. But if you want it to be space around, space between, or is it space between? That's space between, and the other one is space evenly. Space evenly. Space around, space between, space evenly. Okay, something like that. So now we have our widgets here, the three widgets here. And then you can start changing the way that the text looks. So you can implement style. Sorry, remove that. So here, implement style with widget text style. So the widget text style allow you to change the behavior, or let's say I'm going to use size, font size set to start with 16, and then weight, font weight set to bold, and definitely this is all set as a constant, right? So we have that. So this is 16. We haven't yet implement responsive page, so we might want to increase this to 32. So that's 32. So if you think that it's not enough and you want it bigger, we go for, let's say, 40. Okay, so much bigger. And at the middle, you have your circular progress indicator. So in circular progress indicator, basically you can modify the way that it looks. So there are background colors, stroke width, and also value for percentage if you want that. Value color also can be changed, but yeah, we stick with the default version. For the version, that one I think should be okay. So if you are looking for this simple splash screen, this is more than enough. It is more than enough for a simple splash screen. But the one that I use here, if you want to implement the image, you need to use a widget called stack. Okay, so for stack widget basically allow you to stack your widget on top of each other. Okay, you can use that. So you can see here the way that I implement. So for this to work, you need to import your splash your splash image. So your splash image, you really need to make sure that the size is properly configured for the application. Okay, the size, I think I put the size of the image out there. Okay, so create an image with 1020 pixel width and 1440 pixel height, and name the image as splash.png or JPEG, and then put it into your asset folder. And then the other folder, the ones for model and view folder. So I'm going to use the simple version. I'm not going to use this image because you need to create that image. Sometimes the image or the background image for your splash screen, they can interfere with your text. So you need to make sure that your text here and your image, they blend well. Okay, sometimes like if you have this black text here, and then suddenly your image at the background, for example, like the one that I use here, the one that I shown here. Okay, this one. Okay, so this one I take the picture from Changlun. Okay, Changlun wet pasar there. So just take a very simple picture, like something like this. Take the picture in that orientation, and then you have the picture in that orientation, and you can use that for your application. But you need to make sure also, because sometimes when your application run this way, this is a portrait, okay? Portrait mode, but then suddenly your application, if you enable orientation, move to this way. Okay, when it move to this way, you need to make sure that you have image that able to handle this way. Okay, so that is some of the issue that you need to understand when dealing with image, because if you allow your application to be oriented, okay, the easiest way, you just disable the orientation and disable that so that your application will only run as a portrait mode. That is the easiest implementation. Okay, so for this, you can see there's a black background there. So if I put black text, it basically unable to, the text can be very hard to see. Okay, so you have to be very careful with your text. The color that you choose, the image that you choose for your background. So you need to make sure that your image properly lighted your text on top. Okay, so like the blue, you can see there's a blue circular progress there. They kind of blend with the background, so they cannot be seen properly. Okay, so this is also another, I think there's a topic in your UI UX regarding color. When you choose color for your application, so you need to make sure that you choose properly for background and foreground color. So they need to be contrast to each other so that whatever that you want to show to your user, they can be easily seen. And this is also applied to your PowerPoint presentation and whatnot. So you need to make sure that also. Okay, that's just a common sense. Okay, just a common sense there. Okay, so if you want to do that, just add stack widgets. So the stack widget will be on top of columns, at the back of the columns. So that also can be done, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. But if you want to try stack, you can just follow the tutorial here, the steps here. Just use stack in the page, in the screen. Okay, so for image, I use this box decoration. So there's a container, box decoration image, and then pass the parameter asset image. And then the asset image, we pointed to the asset image folder in your application directory. And set the image as a box fit cover so that it will cover properly the whole page. You don't have like white padding to the left or to the right or at the top. So if you set as box fit cover, means that it will cover everything. And if the screen resolution is way too high or too low, it will cut over, and then you have your image properly displayed there. Okay, so if you want to use that, but sometimes I found background image can be a little bit distracting. So try to keep it as simple as possible, and implement or focus on things that important to your application. Okay, important to your application, like for example, auto login. If you want to implement auto login, definitely you need to read from shared preferences, and then after that, do the auto login. Okay, for image, just for fun. Okay, if you want to, go ahead, use it. There's a example there already, and then you can follow this way. Okay, so stack as your parent, return stack, and then set everything to center, and the children for stack. Stack is also another widget that allow for children. Okay, stack widget. And inside stack widget, you can have all the widgets that you want to stack over. All right. Yeah, put padding there also if you want to. Okay, so it's up to you what you want to do with your application. If you want to change for different font, like the one that I use here, this is a quite generic font. So you can look around for fonts. Usually you can use Google Font widget as Google Font library. You can install that dependency, and there's a lot of Google Font available. PubDev. Okay, so you can install this through your PubDev, and this basically allow you to access all the Google fonts. So many of them. Okay, so many of them available for you to be used. It's very simple actually to use it. You just import your Google font, make sure you put it into your pub spec, and then you can choose what font that you want to use by invoking the Google Fonts dot the font name. Okay, that's it. Very easy to use. But I don't want to use it here yet because when you import the library, that library will basically import everything. So import all the fonts that you don't use, and that will basically fatten up your app. Okay, increase the size of your app. So remember, when you import library into your project, you don't use all the features of the library, definitely, but the library will be there for you. Okay, the library, all the features, all the functions, all the methods available for the library, even though you didn't use it, it will automatically bundle that together with your library. Okay, so that will increase the size of your app. So we don't want that to happen unless we just want to. This is basically just to make things easier. You can definitely import that one by one through asset. Let's say if there's a one, you can use this also TTF font download font. Okay, there's a lot of font available for you to download. So you can choose any of the available fonts from here. Okay, get the TTF file, but you need to make sure that the license also, you can see there, free for personal use, but if you want to use for a company, definitely no. Or sometimes you might need to buy. So for Marlboro, this one free, which means that you can use that. So you need to make sure that free for what? Okay, so if you want to use for company, definitely you need to understand the license first. Okay, so there's so many of them you can download, and then you can include that in your application through the use of your pub spec YAML, and that down here, your asset here, your font asset here, down here. Okay, so you can add your own font, but you need to put it into a font asset library. Okay, so but that font, only one font. But if you import Google font, it will import everything. Okay, there are so many Google font available if you want to use Google font. So many of them. Okay, and definitely easier to use. You can choose any font that you like to use. Okay, on the fly, because all the font available in your application. You can see the animation there. So many font available. So sometimes font also can be used for company branding, okay, because everybody knows Facebook font, um, like WhatsApp. Okay, the way that when you open your WhatsApp, you can see the text basically sometimes represent the company. Google, okay, when you open your Google and then you can see the Google words there, and you can see that that is a branding there. It is a branding there. So you need to you need to choose that, and that also falls under UI UX team. Okay, so that's why I keep on saying UI UX is very, very important. They basically will determine either the app will success or not. Okay, so for developer, we just develop whatever that the UI UX team say that they want this. Okay, we just implement that in the application. But whatever it is falls under them, not the developer. Okay, unless you, the developer, as a full stack developer, you have to develop everything, then everything is up to you. Okay, but usually in a company, you have that team that handle on the UI part. Okay, you can see there, font. Okay, so you need to provide the font name and the directory of the TTF file. So if you are familiar with installing font, TTF is the font format file. So put it into your asset folder, and then you should be able to use that custom font for your application. The best thing is that the size is small, just only one file that you import into your project. Instead of you import everything in your project, that can increase the size of your project later on. All right, so here, this is the example for the My Pasa, but this time around, I'm trying to keep everything simple at first, and then we work from there later on. So once we have our page ready, we want to move the page or the splash screen to the main screen. Okay, the main screen of our application that basically contain the navigation and also the what we call it, the bird's eye view, or it's basically allow you to see everything. Sometimes you put dashboard there, sometimes you put your data, your cards list, something like for Facebook. Once you enter or once you log into the Facebook, you have your card view there, list all the feeds from your Facebook, so that you can just see the content. Okay, you can consume the content by scrolling the card list. Okay, or you can have dashboard that provide summarized information for the application that you use, something like similar, uh, something like Shopee. So you have your dashboard at the top, and then you have your product promotion and whatnot at the bottom. So that's up to the application, what they need. Okay, but here we're going to use, or we're going to create the main page and how to do page navigation. Okay, how to navigate between pages or between screens. Okay, so now you have your splash screen. Next, you want to move from splash screen to the main screen. So which means that is what we call as a navigation. Navigate from screen to screen. Okay, so that is navigation. So how to implement navigation here? So since we don't have any buttons, there's no need for buttons for splash screen, because splash screen will only appear within 2 or 3 seconds. So that one will require a widget, a special class uh, called timer. Okay, this timer class will implement the timer duration, and once the timer expired, it will move to the page that they intended to. So to implement this, it will require what we call as an override method called init state method. Init state. So the init state method is one of the Flutter application lifecycle. So for Flutter lifecycle, you can look Flutter application life cycle, you can look at what's the Google documents for that, where the Flutter document. But this one also can, but this is from Medium. Medium, sometimes you need to pay for their service. What's the state, full state? Not here. It's supposed to be under Flutter. This is Medium Flutter Dev. Now Medium take over everything already. Where's the Flutter documentation? Flutter. Flutter doc. Is it here? It's about this is the dot API. This is dot API, not here. This is just library. Before that, they do have that. This one. Got the documentation. But the full terms, I didn't put it into the books. I think that one can be added into the books later on. So also very important to understand the app lifecycle or the state of the application. There's a graphic here, but this is not proper state of the application. There's a diagram that describe this fully from Flutter doc, but I cannot find it. So you can see there's a what we call as the override methods that available for you to use. So for example, create state, init state, did change dependencies, build state, did update widget, set state, deactivate, dispose. So this is basically the Flutter application lifecycle. Whenever you click on the Flutter application, these are basically all the lifecycle that some of the cycle, not all, that the application will go through. It start with the create state, which start creating the class and whatnot. There's an init state, which will initialize all if you use any object or variable initialize in the class, so you can use init state. Did change dependencies, if any dependencies change, so you can detect it this through this override methods. Build your UI, did update widget, set state, that one for any variable that's changed its state. Deactivate and dispose. Dispose, usually if you want to dispose any unused object, unused variable, so you can use dispose method. So it's very important to understand that. I'm going to use this in some of the methods, some of the override methods. So for example, you have init state. So init state is one of the most important override method in Flutter. Okay, so the way that you implement init state, and it's only available, I think it's only in stateful widgets, because the stateful widget contains state, and you can implement that in the state class here. So for example, to implement that, usually you can just use void initialize. Void should be init state. Just take that. Should be init. Yeah, there you go. There. Okay. So this method here called init state method. So this method basically will execute before the build method. Okay, before the UI renders, the init state will be called first if you override the init state. By default, if you don't call the init state, means that you don't override the init state, and it will go straight to build method. Okay, so when it goes to build method, means that it goes to the UI render. It will start to render UI. But if you override, do you remember your override methods before? When you override internal methods and then you want to re-implement other things? So this is an override method. I believe in your programming too, we talk about override methods. Okay, so override method basically will override whatever method that's already available in the systems, in the programming, and then you want to re-implement that with other things. So here we have init state, one of the internal methods that available, but if you call it, you're going to re-implement that. So it will only use for initialization. You want to initialize. Okay, so once it initializes, all the value that you use or all the variable that you use in the class can be initialized inside this init state. So for example, here what we have, or what we want to do is to implement a timer. And for init state, it will be required to call superclass dot init state. Okay, you need to do that. So now you have yourself an init state. So what we're going to do here is to initialize our timer. Okay, we want to initialize our timer. So the timer that we're going to use here is this, and this timer will run only for 3 seconds. So for 3 seconds, this timer will do, what we'll do is that wait for 3 seconds and then navigate to this new page. So definitely going to need, or we need to create new screen. Okay, I'm going to create different screen names. So I'm going to create one class inside the view method here. So create that. I'm going to call main screen dot dot. Okay, instead of main page, I call it main screen, but basically the same stuff. So inside the main screen here, so inside the main screen, so you can create just a simple page, main app. Take the first one. Oh, that one is second. Take the second one. Because this one just contains a very simple page. And usually we remove this. Because when you use main app, it usually comes with main method. And the class name here also the same. Or else, you can just straight away use the stateful widget, STF, and then create the name, the class name, let's say like main screen, and then import your material widgets. And now you got yourself a main screen. Okay, that handle everything related to main screen. Okay, anything that related to main screen will be handled by this main screen. And then inside here we have container. Definitely you don't want container, you want a scaffold. Okay, so you want a scaffold. So, and then inside scaffold, you have your app bar, and then you have your app bar, and then inside your app bar basically contain title. So contain title, your title contain text, and then this one, just put it like main page, just a simple main page. Okay, so later on maybe we can change that, but this is just for marking. And then inside your scaffold, you got body. And then here, let's just put a simple widget called center. And inside center, we have a child for the center. And then we can have text for them. So just label that main page. This is just for labeling, nothing much. And this is even, this is a stateful widget already. But if you want to work with stateless widget, also can. But later on, you might want to change to stateful if anything that handles changes state in your UI. But usually, to make it easier, you just put everything or dump everything to stateful. Much easier that way, so that it will keep on updating unless you use block or you use any other advanced state management. But here we just want to develop a quick prototyping. So since we just handle simple data, we don't handle any complex data or complex animation. So the performance of the application won't be affected much. So we can just use the stateful for the main page. So now we have our main page. So from splash screen here, we want to move to the main page after 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, we want to move them. So either if you want to take the codes here straight away, you can, but you need to change the main page. So this is the timer with the navigator. Okay, timer that implement navigator. So after 3 seconds, the timer will call this main screen later on. So let me put that into our timer down here. So you need to import timer dot async. Import that into your project. And here we don't use main page. The class name is main screen. So change the name to screen and import the class name to your project. Right? So now when you save, you might need to restart, okay? Because you have your, so let's say like I put it here 3 seconds. So let me just increase that to 5 seconds. Okay? So restart. Okay, restart your application and then let's see from there. Restarted application, okay? Application restart. You can see there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should go to the main page. Okay, so it's quite easy. But of course, we didn't implement any auto login. We don't implement any like checking the internet or some other functions. So if you want to do that, also you can do it. You can do it through the splash screen. Okay, so you are go to main page. It's supposed to be main screen. I want to change everything to main screen, not main page. Sometimes you get confused between the two. Okay, you use for web programming for page. For the mobile programming, you should use main screen, but sometimes I kept forgetting that. So here main screen. Okay, this is also main screen. Okay, so you get that. All right, so you can see now we are in the main screen, but definitely you cannot go back. Cannot go back. Reason being is that just show you again. Okay, reason being is that the navigator widgets here, the navigator class here use push replacement method. Okay, the push replacement method basically will replace your current class and then we'll remove that from your application stack. Okay, so if your application try to go back, that stack no longer available, that class no longer available. So that basically for web application, you can always go back, right? So if you click a link and then you want to go back, you just press that button, back button. Because web application, they don't have these features. They don't allow for user to stop going back. Okay, so for mobile application, you do have that features. Means that if any of the page you don't want user to go back, okay, you can just use push replacement. But if I use just a push, just a simple push, let me save that and reload the application. Two, three, four, five. You can see there's an arrow button there. Means that if you got that arrow button, that page allow you to go back. So if I click on this, you got your splash screen back. But that doesn't make any sense. Okay, you don't want to go back to your splash screen. There's no reason why you want to go back to splash screen. Your splash screen, the only reason that you have your splash screen is that you want for branding. Once you have your splash screen ready, then you go to the main page and then done. Okay, you don't want to see that page again. Okay, but if you do the push, means that you want to have the ability to go back to that page. Okay, so here I use navigator.push replacement, means that it will replace the class and push that away, no longer in the application stack. Okay, your application stack means that you have multiple class. When you run your application along the way, you have multiple class. So the class will be built and run as a stack in the memory. stack, 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 stack. And your application can always go back down one stack. Okay, so that's why if you're familiar with Stack Overflow, so the names come from that. It's stacking the memory. So once it goes beyond the memory capacity, that's why they call Stack Overflow. The stack memory overflow. Okay, so if you understand that the term itself. So now this is basically the same. If you use navigator.push replacement, means that if you have your previous class and then call to another class, with push replacement, it will replace that, taking it out from the stack, and you can no longer access that stack. That stack no longer available. Okay, and then you continue growing the stack from your main page. So the main page class and then the other class you call class, and then you can always go back unless you remove that class. You can always remove a class by assigning to null. When you create a class and then you assign to null, and then the class will be destroyed. Okay, so that is the when we talk about performance later on. Okay, application performance, definitely you need to manage your class properly. You manage your object. Whenever you create object in your application, that object will require memory location, and that memory location is very important for mobile application, because sometimes when you have like a lower end version of your phone, they don't have enough memory, don't have enough RAM to handle your application. So you might need to properly handle your object and just remove your object whenever it's not needed through your state dispose. Okay, so you can dispose, or you can even suspend. Okay, so when you dispose means that you no longer use that, the class can be removed, or any object in your class can be removed. It's no longer needed. Remove that by assigning the assigning the object to null. Okay, null is very powerful. Assign to null, memory no longer done. They clean up the memory.